Welcome to Ham Radio and Electronics. In this video, I'll be taking you a tour of my home network and showing you all the different components that make it run smoothly. You'll get to see the Untangled firewall that keeps my network safe from outside threats, and the two separate networks I have to set up for added security. I will also show you the 40-port switch that allows me to connect multiple devices to my network, as well as the wireless access points that provide wireless connectivity throughout my home. Additionally, I'll demonstrate some of the other tools and devices I use to manage and monitor my network. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just curious about how my home network works, I hope you'll find this video informative and interesting. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is, it's just a disclaimer for the first part of the video. It's going to be, just because I might have bad equipment, because I only got a 100 megabit switch, doesn't mean that I have a bad home network. Because before, I used to have 75 megabit internet, and now I have 100 megabit, and now I'm going to be getting 300 megabit internet as soon as that's what I have right now, but I will be getting a cable so I can get that. So a lot of my stuff is older equipment, so it can't handle 300 megabits yet, but I will be upgrading that in the future. So this video is just to be showing you what I currently running for firewall and that kind of stuff. So for my internet service provider is Alpine Communications, and basically they just upgraded all their plans last week from 100 megabit goes up to 300 megabits, 200 megabit goes up to 500 megs, and the 50 internet went up to 75 megabits, which is really cool. They did not have any more expensive charges. Like it used to be $100 a month for 100 meg. Now it's $100 a month for 300 meg, and they automatically updated everybody's 50, 70, 50, 100, and 200 internet up to 75, 300, and 500 internet, which is a really cool thing, and why I like my internet service providers, because they do that like every 10 years around. I looked at their past newsletters and saw their 25th anniversary, and they did do that every once in a while, which is why I like my internet service provider. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at my Untangled firewall, and I'm going to pull it up here. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. Is I run Untangled firewall as my firewall. It's mainly for a paid service, but I just don't use like the web filter and a couple other features, and it's fine for me. It sends me daily email alerts at 7 o'clock about how many megabits we've used, how many hosts, and what's been happening on the network, that kind of thing, which I really like that, and I think is really cool. Also, it's a lot easier to set up than pfSense, and it's more user-friendly than pfSense or even OpenSense, which is why I like to use it. And since this is the first firewall I set up on my server, this is what I currently use. OpenSense and pfSense is just too unuser-friendly, and I don't feel like taking the time to learn a lot of that, when Untangled firewall can do just as good, and they can send me email alerts. And pfSense, you could probably do that, but you would have to put in another thing inside, and I just don't want to do that. So here I'm going to go to my Untangled firewall here, put in my password, and basically I currently have 3 networks enabled. Well, actually 4, because I was playing around with another Ethernet jack, but currently I have the external, my main network, which goes to most of my server things, and also to my switch, which goes out to my computers and wireless access points. But I also have another one that's locked down for stuff that I open ports to, or for servers that I don't trust. So if you look at here, the network, this is my external. That's my IP address. That I should have that blurted out, since I don't really need that. And you see that it's 100 megabit. That's because the cable I am using right now won't go up to a gig, so it stays at 100 megs, which is unfortunate. But I am getting a 40 gigabit Cat 8 cable in the mail here. I bought a 1 gigabit Cat 6, and it still didn't work, and it was a cheap Walmart brand, and its latency was really bad. So I'm just using a Cat 5e 100 foot cable right now, which I will be upgrading to that in the future. Okay, so this is my main internal interface, which goes us to my switch and a few different services that I have running on my server that's in a virtual machine. It's the 10.27.27.1 network /24. It does 1 gigabit. My switch is only 100 megabit, but I will be buying another switch here soon, and everything that's connected to my server via the virtual machines does get a full gigabit network for the servers to talk to themselves. Like my Untangle firewall talking to, let's say, my All-Star News, something like that. So that's what I have for my main network. It's a 10.27.27.1/24 network. This is another interface that I was playing around with. It's virtual switch for hypervisor. For some reason doesn't work. I need to remove that, but I haven't done that yet. And this is my locked down interface that I have for, I run my All-Star node on it, one Ubuntu server on it. I think I run one more other thing if it's on, but for the most part, that's just for lockdown stuff, for stuff I don't trust, or for stuff that, let's say, has a port open to it. And I'll be getting to the firewall rules for that interface as well. And I will be showing a system diagram towards the end of the video. And this was another interface for that I was playing with when I plugged in an Ethernet cable to it to see if it was the port that was doing only 100 megs. That was me troubleshooting a while back ago. So these are my interfaces. Okay, so here is my hypervisor in my virtual machine. This is my untangled firewall. It's called Anti-Wireless Yo. That is the name. I currently have it assigned to 5 gigs of memory, 1 CPU, and that works fine for me. It uses about 75% of the memory, and the CPU, just 1 core, does plenty for it, and it seems to be pretty happy with that amount of resources. So that is what I currently have there, and that I've run it in a virtual machine. Some people are like, why are you running a virtual machine? You could be running it in a computer. Just spend an extra $80, get an old computer, put in a 2-port Ethernet adapter, and you got your own little machine. Virtual machines aren't that great. For me, I don't have an extra computer that I would want to put that in, and I just see that inside the virtual machine, it works fine for me. So unless I start getting more money and I feel like I should invest in that, I will, but not anytime soon. Okay, so here is where I'm going to explain more about my main network, and then also my interface 4 network, which is for the things that I run with ports open or servers, virtual machines that I don't trust. So basically, the regular internal can talk to each other. Anyone can scan that and that kind of stuff. So the internal is that's what I use for all my phones, computers, wireless access points, and even most of my virtual machines inside my server. It's all in the internal network. Everyone can see everyone's stuff, and everyone's happy over there, and they're all friends. But the internal, here's the interface 4. Interface 4, they can't talk to each other. So I got 2 machines on my internal interface 4, and basically I have my All-Star node, which has 3 ports open to it, providing All-Star and Echolink, and then I also have a Ubuntu server. Ubuntu server 2 is the virtual machine's name, that I use for testing purposes, and I just have it in there because I was testing it out in there, so I'm going to keep it there. Interface for All-Star can't talk to Ubuntu server, and Ubuntu server cannot talk to All-Star. It's really locked down. It's basically itself. It can't do anything. It's just All-Star is stuck in All-Star, and Ubuntu server is stuck in Ubuntu server over here. And they're just lonely, and they can't talk to each other. They can't do anything. Now here's the firewall rules for in between the internal and the interface 4. The internal network can access the interface 4 network. So let's say I want to SSH into my All-Star, and I'm on the main internal network. I can do that, but I can't. All-Star, if it wants to SSH into my Windows Server 2019, it can't do that. That's how I have the firewall rule set up, and you'll see that also in a diagram here towards the end of the video. So those are the firewall rules for my 2 internal LAN networks that I have running. Okay, so here is my switch. Like I said before at the beginning of the video, it's only 10/100. So it can only handle up to 100 megabits. I got this switch for free from a good ham buddy. He sent me over this switch, and it's a really nice switch. It's just the fact that it's only 100 megabits is the downside about it. It's 48 ports. 48 ports. It's got two connection ports that distribute out to the 48 ports. So many ports in here, like I'm not even using an eighth of it. I don't really have too many things in here that I'm running, because just about everything that I run is in a server. It's just my computers and wireless access points. That's basically all that's connected over into the network, which I mean, it's fine like that. That's only 100 megabits, but I will be having to upgrade to another switch, and I think I'm going to get an 8-port switch. Just one 8-port switch, and if I ever do run out, I can just order another 8-port switch. It's not that big of a deal. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I have 2 access points. I have 3 currently on as making this video, but I am going to turn away and only have 2 access points on. So I'll have my regular, I have 1 access point that is in my computer room that feeds, basically all it does is it provides internet to my laptop. And let's see if I have a phone or a tablet up here or some other wireless device that's in my computer room or my bedroom, it'll use Valor's network. That's the SSID I have for that wireless access point. It's only 2.4 gigahertz. There is a new Wi-Fi router that I just bought from Goodwill for $3. It's a Netgear R, it's a 6050, and it does 5 gigahertz as well. And I was testing around with 5 gigahertz, and it's like it's really good, especially if you're running 100 megabit internet. It's really good. I mean, I can't believe like what 6 gigabit is going to be like. 2.4 gigahertz to the 5 gigahertz, there's a massive difference in how many megabits per second you can transmit at what distance, and it works perfect for my internet that I have now. So those are the 2 wireless access points I have. So here is the diagram that I have, and I'll have it up here as I talk more about why I don't use pfSense and OpenSense. The diagram, I mean, I designed this myself. It's not the greatest looking diagram, and I designed it with Canva. That's where I design my thumbnails as well. A lot of that kind of stuff I use canva.com to design, but it basically just shows you the stuff that I run my network and like the computers and wireless access points I have. So here's why I don't use pfSense and OpenSense. pfSense, I would use OpenSense versus pfSense, to be clear. OpenSense is a lot it's more user friendly than pfSense is. I installed pfSense and I went through literally every single menu, basically. It's like so overwhelming, and it's like configuring VLANs and that kind of thing, and just like doing simple things that in my Untangle firewall is really easy and user friendly. You got a really nice GUI with Untangled. With pfSense, the GUI's horrible. It's not user friendly at all. That's why I don't use it. OpenSense is more user friendly and a bit better of a GUI, but it still doesn't. It's still nothing like Untangled. No, the downside about Untangled versus PF and OpenSense is that they're open source, and that's one big thing that I wish Untangled is open source. And another thing is they don't lock any of their feature down. They don't have a single feature locked down that you can't use unless you have to pay for it. With Untangled, to get all their features, it costs it's over $100 a month to unlock every single feature, which is kind of like, wow. For me, anyways, I'm not going to be paying. I mean, they unlock 3 features for $50 a month. It's just not something that I can accept. So I just don't pay for it. I use the features that are free, and I use the nice GUI, but maybe eventually I'll use OpenSense, or maybe if I come across some other decent, nice firewall that has IDS and IPS protection, because I'm not running any firewall unless it has IDS or IPS. Untangled's working just fine for me right now. So that's basically it for the home network. This is all I have to say for the home network. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you later.